I once learned that humans have 7 basic human needs in order to thrive. One is air. This is the order in which you'll leave the planet without them. One is water. We're made out of water. Thank you for the lubrication in my joints and my eyes working right now. Another one is food, although a whole lot less food than what they taught us we needed, right? Another one is sleep. We all would leave the planet if we didn't get enough sleep over the next 20 or 30 days. We'd just maybe want to disconnect. Another one is a shelter, we've got a blizzard here, just to shelter us from the snow and the rain and the heat. Another one is a relationship. It doesn't have to be with your twin flame, though. It can just be with a plant, something that you nurture that nurtures you back. And then the last one, and I've done thousands of these calls with people all over the world, and this is the one that is the hardest for people, is self-expression.
Is any individual strong enough to essentially set a spell on another human being? Out of their control, whether they're good or bad, have they got the ability to do something where they're not here anymore?
No, beautiful question. No, I believe that we have a choice even in death. I believe that your state of being is what creates your reality. Even in Hinduism, they believe that people talking negatively about you actually burns off their karma and makes their life happier. So, no, you can't have any effect on my life unless I start dancing with you and agree that you have an effect in my life.
Just quickly, I just want to say a massive thank you to everyone who still listens to the podcast. I started 4 years ago, and since then I've had over 1 million downloads. I get 5,000 downloads per month, and I've had over 200 different guests. So a massive thank you to everyone who still listens. If you could please do me a favour, if you could rate and review the podcast, that would be amazing because it helps get the podcast out to new, conscious people like yourself. And my goal is to awaken as many people around the world. You can also follow me on Instagram. It's YesKingOliver. Should you wish to see what I get up to on my day-to-day moments. Back to the episode. So recently I was thinking about people don't have the opportunity to express themselves. And when I'm listening to podcasts like The CEO, you've got these billionaire people, these CEOs, these powerful people. And when Stephen asks them a question, they are aware that, oh, wow, we're going down this path, but there's no resistance to answer it, which made me realize people aren't resistant to talk about themselves and their feelings and their emotions and how they feel. It's just they're never given the opportunity. Like when you're married, you don't ask the really deep, important questions that your partner really wants you to ask because you're too busy just looking after the kids, looking after the house, and just living normal day-to-day life. And when I think about people that have trauma inside them, it's because they're not able to express themselves. But actually, what if it's just that no one's asking them the right questions and then giving them the opportunity to speak? Because when you release that energy, it feels good, and therefore you want to do it more. But it just suddenly occurred to me that I don't think people are scared to talk about raw, deep, authentic things. It's more, no one's asked me and I've never thought about it. And it's not I have a problem talking about it.
I love that.
That's it. Now you talk from there.
Well, I think I know that speaking, we have this phrase, get it off your chest. So just what you just said, move the energy. And I took these courses 6 years ago, and these people stood up in front of the course and they spoke and shared their truth. And at first it scared me. I was like, oh no, but it made me feel so good seeing that they had the same thoughts and feelings and things and stories that I had, and it helped me heal a lot.
Yeah, and that's when we realized that all humans are the same. We've come from the same source. The only problem is the different characters in the story. We've all got the same general stresses and struggles and thoughts. Everyone's thoughts are based on everyone else's thoughts that we think are our thoughts, right? Unless there's things directly within our environment that trigger off of thought. But if there's nothing there that's triggering off a thought, it's because someone else out there in the universe is on the same frequency as us and is thinking about that thing, and it becomes our thought, which means we're all the same. We're all just blank canvases absorbing our environment, and we die, which means we have to stay together and help each other express our feelings and emotions, and for them to know that we are all the same. And just because you are feeling exposed doesn't mean anything negative. We're all the same. It's just how can we get everyone to express themselves, and then the generation below will hopefully be able to express themselves too.
Yeah, well said. I once learned that humans have 7 basic human needs in order to thrive. One is air, and this is the order in which you'll leave the planet without them. Abundance of air. Thank you for this breath, right? Abundance of water. We're made out of water. Thank you for the lubrication in my joints and my eyes working right now. Another one is food, although a whole lot less food than what they taught us we needed, right? Another one is sleep. We all would leave the planet if we didn't get enough sleep over the next 20 or 30 days. We'd just maybe want to disconnect. Another one is a shelter, we've got a blizzard here, just to shelter us from the snow and the rain and the heat. Another one is a relationship. It doesn't have to be with your twin flame, though. It can just be with a plant, something that you nurture that nurtures you back. And then the last one, and I've done thousands of these calls with people all over the world, and this is the one that is the hardest for people, is self-expression. It's what you're talking about right here today. It's the idea that, and it doesn't have to be some grand 30-year overarching career. It can be rearranging leaves in the corner of the room. If that's what makes you happy right now, do that. And if we all did that more, and we gave ourselves the worthiness to do what makes us happy now, then we all shift together to a beautiful now moment where we feel really good. And what I learned was that the way that I feel gets reflected back to me through you, through my comments, through my communities, through whatever, the people in my life, my ex-wife, my now wife, my, whatever it is. It's all based on the thoughts that I keep on thinking, the actions that I take because of those thoughts, and the feelings that I get. So when I switched it around to feel good, no matter what's going on in my life, no matter whether it snows, no matter what, if we made it here on time today, no matter what the things are with the kids, like you said, and I just stayed with a smile in my mouth. I take my finger, I put it in my mouth, and I go, and it gives me a smile. and if I just do that in every situation in my life, yes, it works, right? You might have to keep it there for like 17 seconds if you haven't practiced it a few times. But as you do that and you smile, it's like our grandmas used to say, when you smile, the world smiles back.
Yeah, so what's coming to mind is that I was on a walk today and I saw 2 people, kind of like youngsters, 22 years old, right? They were obviously boyfriend and girlfriend, and they're both getting fat. And I just visioned this lifestyle of they're on a walk, they're walking the dog's fat, which means they feed the dog probably bread and stuff they shouldn't feed the dog, right? And then they go home and they'll probably just sit down and watch TV like people in Britain do, and they'll eat. And then they'll eat cheese or crisps and snacks a bit later in the evening.
Yeah.
And then they'll just start to put on weight. And that is deep down because they are suppressing this disconnect from each other. They're not communicating, they're not expressing, they're not saying to each other, what I really want in life, what I really want from you. They're not sitting down and connecting to each other as partners. Now they're just sort of people mirroring each other as they already are. So instead of finding like a deep, meaningful connection with a human, now they're just staying as they are, not able to express themselves, and finding somebody also mirroring the same as them, aka they are also not able to express themselves. So now when it's, shall we have some cheese? They'll go, yeah, let's have some cheese. And this is the same for sweets, pornography, movies, PlayStation, Xbox, TikTok. People avoiding everything else apart from sitting with themselves and expressing themselves. And it is getting worse. But what I've also noticed is that I think there is a turning point where people will be so sick and depressed and lonely of feeling this thing that they're missing, that's when they'll be forced to come home, and naturally they'll just burst out crying, and then someone will go, "What's wrong?" which no one's ever asked them, and then they will not stop, and then that's when the floodgates open, and then their friend will hopefully do the same for them, and then their friend will do the same for them, and then it'll be this trail effect of everyone's just calling and crying for a chat and to be heard from years of just not being heard and using all these external dopamine factors to numb that pain.
Yeah, I think what you're touching on is the sort of paradox or the duality between pleasure and pain, and wanting to run the natural animal thing. I love my animal. I'm thankful for my animal. The urge is to want to go towards things that feel good and away from things that feel bad. Although I'll yes and you and just say some of the best piano players and singers in the world might be fat, or they might have the best relationship in the world. We don't know. We're not inside that relationship. So one of the traps that I found is judging people, and it starts with judging ourselves. Oh, I wish I'd done something better, or I'd wish I'd done something different, or maybe I feel like I'm fat, my knees don't look the way I want them to, or whatever it is. And then projecting that out in the world. And when I started doing this thing where I tap myself and I go, I deeply love and accept myself. 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 Then I started to believe that I deeply loved and accept myself. And then it was easier for me to deeply love and accept everyone exactly as they are.
When you do that, what does that do when you tap yourself and say those words? Is it almost like hypnosis where you say a word and then your body programs it with a extra sense, like the touch, for example?
Yeah, I'm not an expert on it. I haven't spent a lot of time in here, but if I just tune in right now, it's when you're a kid and your mom and dad tell you no, or they yell at you, or they hit you, or whatever the thing was, that goes into your body. Because this is the slowest moving part of our consciousness, is the body. So our cells have a cell memory of that experience. And then later, I'll just get personal about it, okay? When I was young, my dad and mom got divorced when I was 3. I lived in the UK. And my dad wouldn't show up. It was his weekend every other weekend. And we didn't have cell phones and things back then, but he didn't call and he just didn't show up. And I remember the wrenching feeling inside of me of just why my dad wouldn't love me and want to come hang out with me, and I just didn't know why. I didn't have any communication. I just was so upset, and so I had this wrenching feeling of abandonment. And so I carried that feeling forward in my life. And then it was like, then I had all these au pairs that came, these women that came from different countries to love me for a year or 2 years at a time. And then they would leave and I'd have that feeling of abandonment again. And then later I got married in my life, and then she always wanted to work. So I kept running this program of feeling like the people were abandoning me, until one day, not that long ago, I sat down with myself and I said, you know what? There's something that wants to be felt here. And I'm just going to feel this pain deeply, and I'm going to love myself through it and hold myself and be the observer through it, the person who I am now. And I just held my animal, my small self, my ego, as I went through the feeling of it. And I got upset and I got angry and I got pissed off and I cried, like you said. And and other things came up that matched that same frequency, things that were going on in my life, friends that I thought didn't value me, And you know what I did the next day? I stopped talking to those friends. I stopped showing up for those people, and I just sort of like got this new air about me where I'm not playing that game anymore. And I felt lighter and I felt happier, all because instead of going towards the pleasure away from the pain, I turned into the pain and went into the pain and sat with the pain and felt the pain and let the pain just show me why I created it. The biggest part that helped me was I saw the silver lining in it. Why did I create my dad to abandon me? Why did I create these people to abandon me? Well, because I wanted to get my self-worth from me and not my dad. It was actually the biggest gift he could have ever given me. On the other side, we probably hung out one day and said, hey, Dad, will you just F me off for a day, for a lifetime, so that I can really know my own worth from inside of me. And he said, yes, son, I'll do that for you. He said, so then I'm deeply grateful for it.
That is very interesting, because my friend said the same thing. His dad abandoned him. He wasn't in his life. He was an alcoholic and he just wasn't there. And when he was younger, he used to grieve his father. Why are you not doing the things that other dads did for me? Why are you not there? Why are you not in my life? And he would hate himself, and he would drink a lot, and he would smoke a lot, and he would smoke weed, and he would do everything but kind of just accept the pattern. And then a few years back, he had a breakthrough, and he was just on the floor doing this breathwork meditation, crying, yelping, screaming. And I was just there sort of letting him get on with it, as in I was just witnessing him. And he was like, Ollie, I've had a breakthrough. My dad abandoned me, so I didn't become him, because if he had brought me up, I would have followed him in his footsteps and seen that his life was right as the only man that you're supposed to follow. Alcoholism, abuse, treating people wrong, no job, maybe. He would see that as that's life, and he would have become that. So by his dad distancing himself, it was the universe's way of saying, your dad isn't going to be your male role model here. You are going to be your own. And so he stepped out the way for him to create his own identity. And he truly let his dad go. He has literally, his soul has changed completely, because now he sees the same thing completely different. He sees it as a blessing rather than as victim, poor me. But he went through the feeling this abandonment and why, and like, fuck, why? And then all of a sudden, I realized why. So I didn't become him and his issues. And isn't it amazing how we can see an issue and see either the good side or the bad side, and either one is right, which means it's never really the physical circumstance. It's how we respond to it. And that's what came to me when you said that.
Yeah, it's not about what happens, it's what you do with what happens. And that's a deep acceptance that allows you to give all your fears, fear, F-E-A-R, false evidence appearing real. It allows you to give that back to the light, to the wisdom, and all your wants, which is the scariest thing for the ego. You think that the ego would be most resistant to the fears, but actually I've found fears are actually pretty easy to see as false evidence appearing real. It's the things that you deeply desire, that you've wanted since you were 3 years old. It's those things that as you give those back to the light, your hologram, our scientists believe we live in a hologram now, agree? Your hologram changes like you can't even imagine. And your life just gets lighter and lighter and lighter. We're on our way back to the light. We're all going home one way or another. If you're breathing, you're leaving. and it's okay. It's okay. Everything has a beginning, middle, and end. And so enjoy today like it's the last day that you'll ever be alive, because nothing will ever be the same as it is today. Like tomorrow, a part of you will die, and today a part of you will die. When you breathe, 1,000 cells die every breath you take. So creation is part of birth and death. Right now, as we do this, California and my hologram, I've heard, is burning down in terms of Pacific Palisades, and they've got a lot of wildfires. Here outside my window, we got a sideways blizzard that just showed up randomly. The earth is changing, and things are coming and going quicker than ever now. So just sit back, relax, as it twists and turns, and enjoy the unfolding. It will just keep getting better and better. If your mantra is, it's better than it's ever been, and it keeps getting better and better and better. When you die, if your definition of death is that it's the end, then it's not going to feel that good. But if you change your definition to the fact that you exist right now, and by definition of existing, you'll continue to exist beyond this body. Your body is in your soul. It's not your soul in your body. So you will continue to have some kind of experience, although I can't tell you what it will look like, beyond this body. Then it just makes this life more fun, and you become more carefree. And like I said before, when you smile, the whole world smiles back.
When I awakened at 21, I went from wanting to die essentially to I can't wait to die, but the mindset was different. So the first time it was, I hate this life, I want to die. And then it was, I awakened and I saw life as incredible. And every shitty thing that happened to me was a blessing to make me who I was. I'm like, fuck, what's next? What's the next life? Get me through this life so I can see what's next. And literally that mindset was in the space of probably 3-4 months. And again, my physical circumstances didn't change. They were what they were. What happened was I saw them completely different. And I want to ask you, what did you mean by the hologram thing? Scientists believe that we're living in a hologram.
Well, so quantum, we talk about living in a quantum field. And so what I can tell you is, with my knowing, is you are a portal of consciousness and life is flowing through you. So if you are someone who is controlling or needs things to work out in a very specific way, which, let's face it, all of us would prefer certain things to work out in a certain way, right? But the more you need it to be that way, the more you try to control it. How do you feel when you try to control something?
Worse than if I just let it go and if it comes, it comes.
Right, cool. So the more you try to control, the more out of control you feel. And the more you let go and flow, go with the flow of your life, the more fun everything is. So your portal of consciousness that's flowing through you, the more you let go and flow, the more you're like a surfer out here, on the waves, just catching the waves and enjoying it and waiting for the next set and enjoying the scenery, the more fun life is for everyone. So because your reality is flickering at a super high frame rate. So the more controlling you are, you're more contracted. The more fear-based negative beliefs you're running, the more you believe that you need to control things. If you know how powerful you are truly, do you need to control anything? If you know who you are in truth, do you really need to control anything? People that use guns, are they actually exercising how powerful they are, or are they actually feeling super weak and needing to exercise their control and manipulate things to get it to look the way they need it to look? Is that really a sign of power, or is that a sign of weakness? Is war a sign of power, or is it a sign of weakness? So
Yeah, of course, it's a sign of weakness. So I've got a question. Do you think that an individual has the ability to make another person die anywhere in the world?
die as in leave their body?
As in die. They die, whether it's then a car accident or they have a heart attack. Is any individual strong enough to essentially set a spell on another human being out of their control, whether they're good or bad? Have they got the ability to do something where they're not here anymore?
No, beautiful question. No, I believe that we have a choice even in death. I believe that you meet all these people that have near-death experiences. Okay, they talk about going up into the light, which I've done many times, and then having an experience where it's, hey, do you want to go back, or do you want to keep going back to the light? You want to go into the light all the way, or do you want to go back to a life? And when you go back to your life, they come back into their body. They describe it not being super comfortable coming back, and they go, no, I came back to a reality that's slightly shifted. Even in death, they have a choice. Everyone in every part of the world is in agreement. Their souls are in an agreement to have an experience. Consciousness is having an experience, whether it's the people that are walking their dog that are having that experience, whether it's the perpetrator, the victim and the perpetrator. Everyone is in agreement with everything that is going on all of the time in their reality, whether it be conscious or not, or in the unconscious. There's an agreement on every level all the time. Nothing can have a negative effect on you unless you agree with it.
So if I had an abuser that used to abuse me as a child, this is just a made up story, but as an example, have I got the ability to wish death upon that abuser for what they did to me, and somehow they die? Can I make that person die? Or are we strong enough to push off any kind of spells and energy against us?
So I believe that your state of being is what creates your reality. So what that means is if you do something to somebody and you feel remorse and regret and shame and guilt, then your reality will get not that much fun for you. Okay. There are people or ET species or different things that have cut themselves off from their emotions who are able to do things and continue to live a preferred experience for themselves because they don't feel those negative emotions. It's not a part of what their agreement is. So, in that, to answer your question, no, someone can throw a stone at me. There, even in Hinduism, they believe that people talking negatively about you actually burns off their karma and makes their life happier. So, no, you can't have any effect on my life unless I start dancing with you and agree that you have an effect in my life. And that goes for the government, that goes for the systems out in society, that goes for exes, that goes for abusers, that goes
Hmm.
for all of it. It's all reflecting you back to you.
So, for example, if they knew or felt there was this mindset energy spelled towards them and they essentially said to themselves, yeah, I am guilty. I know what I did. And I know that you hate me and I know what I did. And I accept it and I feel terrible. And you sort of feel that pressure and energy and rejection and resentment. If you start using that as a confirmation to confirm that, yes, I was a terrible person back in the day and I deserve to be punished. And then, for example, something could happen where you get hit by a car or you have a heart attack, but you allowed that person's mindset to reaffirm truth that maybe you've always known. And as a result, you use that to affirm the truth and then something bad happens. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah,
Makes sense.
and I do believe that there's a sort of balancing force in the universe, you know, where it's like certain, like let's just say you keep going in that direction. Let's say you did that once, you learned something from it, you grew from it, and now you're making new choices for yourself. Then do you really need to regret anything, or can you you learn from it, you know? So you made new choices now. None of us are perfect. If you're here on the planet right now, you're not perfect. If you were perfect, you'd be an angel, you know? And another way to say it is you're perfectly imperfect, so you are perfect, all right? But what I'm getting at is just that I do believe that right now what I'm seeing in consciousness is if you keep going towards the darkness, if like that's your agenda right now, is to explore the darkness full on and you're not letting the light in, I do believe that you're not coming with us in the sense of those of us, there's sort of two trains that have left the station. One of them is going towards the light and allowing more light in, and the other one has wants to hold on for its dear life and is going more towards the dark. I don't believe that that dark train is self-sustaining anymore. I believe that consciousness has received all of the experience that it needs out of the separation and the darkness, that it no longer needs to reprint itself in that way and would prefer to go the it's sort of like the yin yang. There's the white, the light and the dark, and then there's the line through the middle. Well, so it's like that line through the middle is tilting everything just a little bit in the light's favor. If you see what I mean.
Um, so is there any time where we need to physically control an outcome by controlling humans, or can we just essentially set the agenda of what we want and trust that if it's going to happen what's supposed to happen, it will, and that we don't have to do any physical control? Or is there certain times when we have to take physical control?
Well, action is the language of the 3D reality. So I'll give you just some light examples. One time I was vegan and I wanted to eat vegan burgers, but there weren't anywhere around in this place where I was living that there was any vegan burgers. So I took action. I gathered some people around. And we started creating this vegan burger challenge, right? And some of my friends that lived out in California, and we started making this vegan burger challenge. Well, next thing you know, I shifted into a reality where there were 10 places around me in Colorado where there was vegan burgers, right? So I do believe that by getting on the court and taking it as far as you can, it's sort of like an announcement to the universe. Look, you gave me this energy today. You gave me this breath. You gave me this life. I'm going to, for me, create spaces for people to self-express themselves, because I know how much healing I received from it myself. So I create spaces for that. Now I put energy in that, and people show up and they contribute their energy, and we all level each other up because we can, not because we need anything out of it, just because we want to. So I put all my chips in that basket, and then all of a sudden droves of people, and the right people were here, and the quality was here, and the experience just kept getting more blissful and blissful and blissful. But it's because I started taking the action in the direction of that, not heeding fear, false evidence, feeling real, appearing real, or not needing it to look like my mind wanted it to look. Just doing it without any insistence on the outcome.
So if I can translate that to a parallel, Trump says what he's going to do with negotiations and tariffs around the world. He puts it out there and tells the world so he can negotiate, so he doesn't have to do that. So let's say he wants a certain outcome, and he will say, well, I'm going to do this, this, and this. And then it brings him to the table and says, no, we don't do that. And he's like, well, I am if you don't do this. And they say, okay, well, we'll do this. And then he makes a deal. He never has to do the outcome. So what you're saying is that if you want a certain action to happen, we don't have to control it physically, but instead do actions and move things and say things and express things to get things moving and people hearing and thinking and doing certain things based on your actions, in hope that you won't ever have to take the physical force controlling action, and that by just speaking about the reality is enough to get them to essentially physically move themselves, so you don't have to.
You know, I think you hit on a couple. It's kind of a deep exploration we're on here. And one thing I know is true. If I put something in front of your face and you have an emotion about it, whether you think it's right or wrong, you have a strong emotion about it, then you will create that for me anyway. So the idea is that there are entities that don't have physical bodies right now, that do have some level of influence through agreements with certain groups, and those people will put something in front of your face just to get a reaction out of you, so that you start creating that thing that actually there is no the future. Part of the hologram is that there's infinite versions of infinite realities. It's actually more like a frozen frames, and we're just flickering based on how much light you're holding. You can perceive more of the choices, but if you're in a lower frequency of fear, lack, and limitation, then you can't see how to get your sovereignty, for example, and you rely on your governments and you believe that Trump has say in your life, then that's a level of consciousness you're in agreement with. When you pull your energy back from that and you start holding your own light brighter, now nothing that Trump says or anybody says can have any effect on you unless you agree with it.
So what you're saying is that somebody says something and you emotionally react to it, whether it's negative or positive, you will create the next outcome. And if I want a certain outcome from you, I don't have to force you there. I can just say things here, make you react emotionally, and then you may or may not get one step closer there.
Invite you to react. Yes, everything you said, but you can't make me do anything. All you can do is invite me. I have to agree to react. I have to believe, I have to choose to believe that I need to react a certain way. And there are certain belief systems in society that when they have the knee-jerk reaction, that they need to respond a certain way. But if in that moment that you're having that trigger moment, you say out loud, why am I choosing to believe that I need to react negatively right now? And bring it back to your mind to realize you have the choice. I interrupted you, but it's a choice.
So the power of getting an outcome can be achieved simply by words and making them react to what you're saying, so they either move closer or further away.
That's
And
where
essentially,
Hollywood came from. That's where Hollywood came from. What you just said, Hollywood, the news channels, the television, the things that come through our box, even on YouTube, the thumbnails that get the most attention, all that stuff is a way to get you emotion. When you get marketed to 99% of the time, it's because you have a feeling of lack inside of you. And if you buy this one thing, then you'll feel better. So it's all about what feeling you're creating from. If you just get happy and stay happy and take action from there, you will live a life of bliss for the rest of your days, I promise.
okay, there is a profound message that I've got from there based on a certain circumstance in my life. So I want to thank you for that. It's made me see a situation differently and how I can go about that situation of getting an outcome. And that is very profound. And based on experience, it does work.
Just remember that when you need an outcome, you're sort of saying that I know better than all that is. That I need it to look this way. Okay? But all that is thinking about you. And no, do you believe that you're a powerful creator?
Absolutely.
Do you believe you create your own reality?
Absolutely.
Do you believe that all that is knows who you are, knows what you want?
Yes.
Okay. So do you also believe that everyone else is a powerful creator and that they create their own realities?
Absolutely.
And that all that is knows what they want?
Yeah.
And sometimes I will say this, what we want is not what we vibrationally really want. What our mind thinks that we want may not be what our vibration that we're trending in is actually an ideal outcome for us, okay? So give it to all that is, the intelligence that beats our hearts, the same thing that lights me up, that lights you up today. And in that surrender of giving it to the light and the wisdom, you give it to the big part of you. Like if our personalities are the small consciousness, you give it to the big consciousness, which is also you. So in giving up control, you're not actually giving up control. You're giving it to the bigger part of you who has more creative power than you and me combined. And in that, you'll find peace. And then you'll no longer care if it goes left or if it goes right. I got my finger in my mouth and I'm smiling. You just smile anyway, because you no longer need it to be this and you need it to be that. And that is the version of you who is your sovereignty, is your sovereign being, who no longer needs any of the old systems in the world to do anything for you, who no longer relies on anyone, who no longer actually even cares, doesn't need a certain relationship, doesn't need a certain anything anymore, just is good with yourself the way that you are, feels whole and complete the way that you are. And when you feel whole and complete inside you, guess what the reflection gives you back?
Whole and complete everywhere.
Everywhere you look.
I've got a question based on that. If somebody else wants something that you once wanted, and then I have this conversation and I let it go, and now I don't care about the outcome, but another party involved does want the outcome, what happens then? Do I simply teach them what, for example, you just taught me? Or do you try and get the outcome for them going against your principles of knowing that, just let it go and it doesn't matter? What happens then?
All you can do is choose for yourself. Because the second that you think you know what another soul's path is, you're dragged the situation down into lack and limitation, and you're sort of trying to fix something, or you're trying to show them the right way. What I just shared, I have zero control whether you pick it up or anyone here picks it up or doesn't. You know what I'm saying? Like, I don't need you to get it. I just know that for me, when I gave the outcome back to the light, I receive freedom and liberty now. And I prefer that experience. And I have a lot of confidence too, infinite confidence. And I prefer that experience over the opposite, which is worry. Worry is 100% belief that things are going in a way that you don't prefer. Confidence is 100% belief that things are going in a way that always work out for you. So for me, it used to be, before I felt my deep pain, okay, I wanted people to know what I had learned. But now I don't care anymore. I just share because I'm happy to be here with you. Look, you came to me. I welcomed you in with open arms. Come on in. I love you, brother. Right? And so that's how I live my life now. What comes to me, unless sometimes things come to me still, and I can tell it's an echo of some old program or an old thought, and I just go, you know what? That's on its way out. I got clarity on that the last time. I don't want to go around that circle again. So I just let it come, exist for a moment, like a wave on the beach, comes in, exists, and go away. But I feel into things, and when it feels good, I'm a heaven yes, let's go, And so that's how I feel into energy now more than anything.
So it's like if an old pattern shows up, give it space, give it a cup of tea and a biscuit, and then say bye-bye, rather than take it down. I told you not to come back. Why the fuck are you here? We dealt this years ago. Just invite him in. Can I get you anything? Enjoy your day. As in, just flow with the wave. When the wave comes in, it's made the sand all wet. Okay, it was dry 5 seconds ago. Now I can't lay down. I've got to find somewhere else to lay, right? And then the wave goes out. That's just part of life. You're going to get shit that comes and goes. Don't put any energy into the thing that comes that you don't want. Just give it the time in the day. Like if a wasp comes and you're eating food and it just wants a little nibble of your food, just let it take its bit and piss off. Don't try and kill it and get angry. And
I agree with that. I agree with that statement. And I've been hitting this place recently where it's just like some of these old things, I'm just choosing not to entangle with them on that frequency. Like, for example, I used to do tons of donation-based calls with people all over the world. And I still do for people that in the community that I have now, Soul Purpose Tribe. But sometimes people find me on Instagram or other places and they're like, hey, I just want to sit with you. I know that by meeting you, I'll just feel better, And I'm like, well, look, I created all these courses, one on money, one on relationships, one on social media stuff. And you can have it for free. We all sit and watch YouTube videos, but that person comes back like, no, I don't want that. I want you right now. And I'm like, and I just made a video on this. It's going to go out today. It says this: if you can't receive what I already gave you, why would I give you anything else? That's where I'm at right now. I'm done giving my attention, my time, my energy to the things that aren't nurturing me back. With love.
Right, let's end that there. Anything you want to promote or plug?
Well, to just do something kind for somebody today, just pass it on. If you got something from this today, please just take it and live it for yourself. Don't try to convince anybody of anything. They're unconvincible, trust me. And just pass it on. I've got a community I'm running. It's called Soul Purpose Tribe. I'm focusing on the quality of it, not the quantity of it. And it's a place where you can come. You can run your own events there on your own time and your own schedule. I show up. Other people in the community show up. We transmute energy together there. We create things. Most recent one, I did one on world peace, resources, and rest. And I just put it up on YouTube. I just started a new YouTube. I deleted my old one. I don't know why, but I did. And I'm just rolling with it, not needing anything to look a certain way. And I believe that the more we do that together, I honestly believe we're on heaven on earth already.
I've had a great idea that's just come to me. I'm going to keep it in. I'm going to process that. I had a great idea that's come to me. If you had one day left to live, what is the one thing that you would tell the rest of the world?
Bliss out today, will you? Just get happy on anything. Anything that you focus on can bring all the other things up in your life to match that one thing. So what you focus on matters a lot. Just focus on the one thing that's bringing you bliss today, whether it's the fact that you're alive, that you have a child, that you have sunshine, that you have a roof. Just get on that one topic. And if you could just focus on that one topic for as little as a day, your life will just keep getting magical forever, I promise you.
Thanks for listening. If you like this episode, please remember to subscribe, turn the bell notifications on, like the episode, and comment below. And if you want to follow me on Instagram, it's YesKingOliver. Take a look at the other videos to your side. And if you just want to listen to this podcast, you can do so on Apple and Spotify and most other platforms by going to talkwitholiver.com.